first true crime story of doing true crime. This is a case that was out of the state of Louisiana. It was the case of Gerald Bordelon. Of course, you know, Gerald Bordelon had just married a mother named Jennifer Cokie, who had 3 daughters and had divorced from another marriage or relationship. And she also knew that Gerald Bordelon was a registered sex offender and had lived on a property in Mississippi. But then Jennifer Cokie's 3 daughters said that Gerald Bordelon was touching them inappropriately. So she left him and went back to Louisiana, but she stayed in contact with him. And of course, if she knew he was a registered sex offender, someone should ask her, why did she even marry him? Because that's not someone you should ever bring around your children. But she stayed in contact with him, and in one day, Gerald Bordelon ended up abducting one of her daughters, 12-year-old Courtney LeBlanc. And unfortunately, he sexually assaulted and killed her. First, they thought serial killer Derek Todd Lee was the one who was involved in it, but he was ruled out as a suspect, and they ended up finding the record that Gerald Bordelon was a convicted rapist. He was twice convicted of it and served time for it in a Louisiana prison. And when he was brought in for questioning, he admitted everything, that he admitted to the crime, he committed everything. And the mother, Jennifer Cokie, who failed to protect her daughters, was sentenced to 5 years probation on a suspended sentence for 5 years. But for Gerald Bordelon, he was found guilty of the abduction, sexual assault, and murder of 12-year-old Courtney LeBlanc, for which he was sentenced to death and would await his execution at the Louisiana State Penitentiary in Angola. Until in 2010, he decided that he doesn't want to fight his death sentence anymore, so he eventually decided to withdraw all of his appeals and resign to his fate. And they granted his wish and set his date of execution. And so they set his date of execution, and in 2010, he was moved to death watch at the state penitentiary at Angola. And his last meal would consist of fried sac-a-lait fish, crawfish étouffée, one peanut butter and apple jelly sandwich, and chocolate chip cookies. And in 2010, on his execution date, Gerald James Bordelon is executed by lethal injection at the Louisiana State Penitentiary at Angola, Louisiana. He was the last one executed in Louisiana. But the moral of this story is you got to be careful who you marry and who you bring around kids, especially being that he admitted that he was a registered sex offender. That's not someone you should ever consider bringing around your children. You always got to realize that children come first. You got to be careful.